Good morning, my lovely little ghosts, and welcome to the Dark Orchard. I'm Laura, and this is a Frozen video. As was said in my intro, this is a Frozen video. More specifically, today I'm going to be doing a Frozen makeup look inspired by the release of Frozen 2 and the Frozen anniversary, because the day that this video goes up is the anniversary of Frozen's original release date. This is going to be an SFX makeup look. Before I get started, yes, I do have a cold. Yes, I am kind of miserable, but if you've been following me on social media, you already know that. But I need to get this video out because it's very important to me. So we're just gonna have to power through this together, and I'm sorry if my voice sounds funny, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try real hard to just power through it. Because where I am, in the south, it's getting cold outside, and I've got a cold. I've been thinking about cold things. And I just happened to watch Frozen the other day, and there's a specific scene that inspired this makeup look. When Anna is stumbling through the snow in her coronation gown. This gown, by the way, didn't cover much up at the top. She was walking through the forest in the snow without boots on, and then she had a corset with very flimsy, like organza off the shoulder sleeves. So she wasn't covered much. And she's walking in the cold for a very long time. She's freezing by the time she gets to a river. And what happens? She falls in the river. Now, of course, all of us that have seen Frozen and know Frozen, we know that as soon as she gets out of the river and her clothes are frozen solid, she sees Oaken's trading post right in front of her. She goes to Oaken's, she gets warm, everything's fine. If Oaken's had not been right there, Princess Anna might have been in for a world of ache. And that world of ache comes in the form of frostbite. Frostbite happens when your body goes, I'm really freaking cold, and I need to stay warm as much as possible. So, what are my important parts? Those are the parts that need to be the most warm. So your body freaks out, and it drags all of your blood into one specific place, and that's the center of your body. It tries to keep all of your important vital organs warm and functioning, which means your not vital organs and your extremities, like your fingers and your nose and your ears and your cheeks and your toes, they get kind of left in the dark while the rest of your body's trying to keep warm and keep functioning for as long as possible. So your body limits the blood flow to your fingertips and your toe tips and like the tip of your nose and just the parts of your body that don't need as much blood flow. That's why if you're out playing in the snow for a long time and your gloves are either really wet or you didn't wear gloves, your fingers turn blue because your body doesn't think that your hands need it as much as the rest of your body, and your body's telling you it's cold. Also, like brain freeze is your body's way of telling you, don't do that. Don't ingest ice. That's bad. Same thing with when you're cold. Your body's like, let's not do this, but let's also try to help. So frostbite happens when the skin just below the first layer of skin is affected by freezing. There are different kinds of frostbite though, including some that like make the skin bubble and pus, and it's really gross. But the frostbite that we're the most used to seeing in film adaptations especially is the blackened skin, the dark, discolored, dead skin. Because that's what it is. It's like a foot, for example, they got really cold and frostbitten and the tissue just died and now the skin is black. This is a really obscure example, but it's my biggest example that I can think of right now, and that's the guy from Mr. Deeds. When he shows his foot and his foot looks like his sock because it's so dark, and he says it was frostbitten. That. So frostbite affects the smallest parts of the body first, meaning like toes and fingers and things that are the furthest away from the heart, because the heart is the most important thing in your body, obviously. Bodies don't usually start to freeze unless the temperature is below 28 degrees. That's Fahrenheit, by the way, 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Elsa set off an eternal winter, like a full-on winter with lots and lots and lots of ice. So of course the air is going to be much below 26 degrees Fahrenheit. Of course, this scenario is hypothetical, but if Anna were to have not seen Oaken, she might have been frostbit, and pretty severely frostbit, because she was walking and she just fell in the water, so she was wet. And that's where the makeup look comes into play. I know that was really long and winded and weird, but that's where this makeup look comes into play, because I'm going to show you how to do a frostbitten Anna makeup. You can totally use this for an Anna cosplay, just sort of like a quirky, more realistic twist on Anna being frozen. So unlike the frozen heart, where it's a solid piece of ice, we're going to do frostbite. So by the time that Anna made it to the North Mountain, she would be showing signs of frostbite. She would be in front of Elsa, if not completely paralyzed from all the cold. She'd be standing in front of Elsa with frostbitten cheeks, a frostbitten nose, her lips would be chapped, her skin would be red. It would just be this big ordeal. So, with that being said, let's get started on that Anna frostbite makeup. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take some liquid latex, my favorite liquid latex, and a sponge applicator, and I'm just going to sponge plain latex on spots where frostbite would hit first. So the cheeks and the nose. Perks of being sick, not having to smell the latex. Once it dries, I'm going to take a Q-tip, or I'm going to take my fingernail, whichever works best, and scrape some holes into the latex. Good thing about the latex that I'm using, like I said before, it blends very well with my skin tone, so it's not as noticeable that it's latex on my skin. So now that the latex is dry, I'm just going to take my fingernail and scratch some holes into the latex that I put down. To me, frostbite kind of looks almost like a cold sunburn. Like, just the way that it peels, it kind of reminds me of a sunburn, because it'll peel back the first layer and reveal the second raw layer that's being frostbit. Okay, now that I have those, I'm actually going to go into Jeffree Star's Onyx Ice, which is a black highlighter. It's not ideal to use highlighter, but because I want this to look like a pretty frostbite, that sounds bad. I want this to look like a pretty frostbite. Let's just leave it like that, because that's what I want it to look like. It's okay for it to have sparkle, is what I mean. Like, it's okay for this frostbite, for a princess frostbite, to have a bit of sparkle, because ice, sparkle, it makes sense in my sicky brain, so I'm sure that you can make it make sense too. So let's just go with it. I'm using Eclipse. We're going to put it around the circles that I created with the latex, but not in the circles, because we're going to do something else with that in a minute. And now the nose. There. Next, I'm going to be doing the lips. For the lips, I'm going to put a little bit of Eclipse on the inside of the lip, sort of like, just like patting it on the inside, where you'd be breathing in a lot of moisture, because that would make the skin drier and more susceptible for frostbite. There, just like that. This is a hard candy eyeshadow duo stick thing, but I'm going to be using this lighter blue. It looks like a very Elsa blue. I'm just going to lightly tap it on the lips, sort of like ice. There. Okay. Brush, brush, where's my brush? That's green. There's red. Okay. Next I'm going to go into blood sugar, and I'm actually going to be using cherry soda. And I'm going to put cherry soda inside of the circles that I created. By doing this, I make the skin look more irritated because this is the layer of skin underneath your skin. And when that's exposed, it's more raw and it's more red. I have a mild confession to make. I love dermatology. So disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, but I do really love dermatology and dermatological things. I love watching people get things removed. Like, it's just a weird thing for me. But I remember this one time, my grandpa had this like little hill on his arm that looked like, I don't know, it was fascinating to me. I don't know what it actually looked like, but it was fascinating. It was just like a little hill. And I think it was some sort of cancer. But I watched the dermatologist take it off of his arm, and it was just so fascinating. So I just read about this kind of stuff and look at this kind of stuff, so that's why I know so much about frostbite. But anyway, back to the makeup. I'm adding a little bit of redness to the corners of the mouth and under the lip because your lips would be super chapped if you were starting to get frostbite. Also, redness under the nose, because anytime that your sinuses open up, your nose will start to run if it's cold. So you're going to be rubbing under your nose, creating a redness. Then lastly, I'm going to take the Jeffree Star shade Coma, which I have never used before, but I love it because it's got the medical symbol on it, because it's appropriate, it's fitting, it makes sense for this look. So I'm just going to put Coma on a very narrow brush, and then I'm going to draw some veins around the wounds, because your blood veins would inflame and they would be working extra hard to pump towards the heart, and then they would come out more. Ideally, you want blue and purple veins, but I think the purple is going to work best for Anna, since her color scheme is more of a purple, pink, mauve-y color scheme. So with the veins, I'm just going to be drawing like tiny little dashes and then blending them in, thinking sort of like I did with the Justin makeup, and make it like a dead tree. The important part here is to smudge it out, because veins would not be bulging, they would be hidden under the skin, they'd just be more transparently visible because your skin's getting thinner and it's starting to peel. I'm going to go back in with this hard candy eyeshadow, tab a little bit more on the edge of my finger, and then I'm going to go right under the nostrils with it just to create a bit of a shimmer. And that glitter will create an effect sort of like a wetness. I'm going to do the same thing in the corner of my eye. With a NYX white jumbo pencil, I'm just going to go over my eyelashes with it. Just lightly brushing through the eyelashes. This instantly gives your eyelashes that snow-kissed look. For my final step, I actually took my little hammer that I usually use for grommeting. I took about 2 or 3 Jolly Ranchers that are pineapple flavored. They're clear. And I just put them in a paper towel and smashed them up and made them look like ice. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a cotton swab, I'm going to dip it in my liquid latex, dab it into the corners of my eyes and under my nose, and then put the candy on my face. Now that I have some rock candy put under my nose and in the corner of my eye, I'm going to go in with a white jumbo pencil again and just kind of brush it through the hairs in my eyebrows as well to finish off the look. And there you have it. That's how you do a frostbite on a makeup look. I hope this was helpful. I hope you use this in cosplay. If you do, please tag me. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, let me know down in the comments below. My question for the comments this time is, Olaf or Sven? Which one did you like better? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you come around again soon. Say bye. Bye. Since her skull, and I took a with a NYX white, what are they called? I do really love dermatology and dermatological things. Eyebrow, like if you imagine and scratch a little bit of, take a pointed cotton thing, Q-tip, cheeks and nose. It started on that Anna Fries. That being said, without but same thing with frostbite or the attempt. Same. And she gets warm and everything's fine. And it's gonna be